Hello people of the world, and welcome to today's episode of Coffee Chats with Jax. For those of you who are just now tuning into this video series, it is about my book Be Free, which I wrote and published last year. It's about my journey overcoming shame, overcoming depression, and this video right here is actually the last one in that series. It's about the last chapter called Grace. And the interesting thing about this chapter is that I wrote it pretty much the first day that I started writing the book. I remember running home the night I realized I was going to write this book and sitting on my bed, ran home and I wrote this page about, basically it was a story in my life that made me believe that I was unlovable. It made me believe that I was broken, I was wrong, I was unfixable, I was unworthy of love, unworthy of connection, of belonging. And this is something that I had been living with just complete shame. Like I'd just been living under this umbrella of shame, thinking that this story defines me. For this year and a half, I was making these decisions that really hurt, not just me, but some people that I really loved. To not get into too much detail in this specific video, I was just involved with the wrong people and making choices from a place of looking for love in the wrong places, looking for acceptance and worth in the wrong places, and it was hurting other people that I loved. And I wasn't telling anyone about these choices. I was keeping this bottled up, all secret in my own heart, so it was kind of like I was living this double life. And at the end of that year and a half, when I decided to go and tell the one person that I was the most scared of telling the truth, which was my sister, I was certain that by telling my sister the truth, then she would not want to be in my life anymore. Then she would not want anything to do with me. She would hate me. She would never talk to me again, and it would just prove that I was worthless. Spoiler alert if you have not read the book yet, but the first chapter in my book is called Shame, and that chapter starts with my drive to go tell my sister the truth about what was going on. The story was coming out, rumors were coming out about it, everyone was finding out, and I don't know what story was going around, but I was losing all my friends. People stopped talking to me, people exiled me because of this. I had just about had it, and I got in my car and I was like, I'm gonna go tell my sister the truth right now, and I'm gonna be done with this. Even if she never wants to talk to me again, never wants to see me again. I got in my car and I'm just hysterically crying, driving to her house, and that's how the book starts. And then the book gets to the end of the conversation, but without giving her response, and that's where the last chapter comes in. Her response was nothing but love. It was nothing but grace. She hugged me and she told me that she loved me, and it changed everything for me, because here was this one person that I was afraid that I would lose relationship-wise if she knew my secrets, if she knew the truth about me. I tried keeping it from her, and I tried putting on the face, putting on the smile, like everything was fine, but then when I finally came forward and told her, her response was grace. And that changed everything for me, because I had been walking with Jesus for like maybe a year or so at this point. Up until that moment, I believed that grace was just this like fluffy, fancy church word that I didn't care about. I was more talking about like the wrath of God, the severity of God, versus like the love and the grace of God. And that's because I never had an experience with what it actually was until this moment with my sister. It was just this moment where all my cracks were exposed, all my brokenness, all my faults. It was all there. I had never been more aware of my own messed up self than in this moment, and never been more appreciative of her forgiving and loving me anyway. That is the character of who Jesus is. And what I didn't know is that I was defining myself through that whole year and a half by my mistakes and by my shame, thinking that that made me unlovable. I was living under this jail cell, almost, like voluntarily, by keeping all of this hidden and not looking at it and not bringing it to the light, bringing it to the table in a way that someone could have the chance to look at it and tell me that I'm still loved. I was voluntarily locked up in a prison cell. And the truth was, I had the chance to live in freedom the whole time. We have that option right now. We get to live in freedom. We get to choose to be free. That's just part of who we are. It's part of our identity. But the first step in being free, I believe, is looking at our brokenness, looking inward at ourselves, looking at where we've messed up, where we've hurt people, because as terrible as this is to say, we have the potential to hurt somebody. It's so important for us to realize that, for us to look at our story and not just see where we were hurt, but where we've hurt others. And then we get to own it and receive the forgiveness and the grace that we can only understand when we understand how broken we are, when we understand how much we need it. And that's when I realized how much I actually needed Jesus, was when I looked at how broken I was, and when I looked finally inward instead of avoiding and pretending everything was fine. But I did the work. I felt the shame. I'm really thankful that this thing happened. Like, I would never go back and make the same decisions again. By the hard work of learning how broken I am, teaching me how good of a gift grace actually is, how free I actually am, I would never be the same without that. I am so not perfect. That is not what I want to walk and show in my faith, is that I have the answers and that I have it figured out. I'm not the expert. I love learning. I love asking questions. I think that there is such a brilliance, such a sacredness in that, but I'm never going to get to this finish line where I am perfect and I have it all together. But what I can do is I can continue to look in the mirror and see where I can be better, where I can love better, and then coming forward and being able to accept the grace that comes after we look at our mistakes. Not just brushing them to the side and pretending they didn't happen and think, oh, but grace, so I can do whatever I want. That's not what this is. It's not like, yeah, but you can't judge me because grace. Really experiencing grace, it's a really humbling thing. It kind of makes you quiet, not loud. I think that when someone really, really has an encounter with what grace means, it's a very humbling, quieting experience. And that's how I felt. This book, it was about my journey, learning how to step into that life, learning that even unresolved conflict, unanswered questions, even with all that, I'm still okay. Even with the mess and the peanut butter stains on the white t-shirts, we're loved and we're accepted and we've been free this whole time. Thank you guys for watching these videos. If you've read my book, thank you for reading it. If you'd like to read my book, then you can pick up a copy going through the link in the description box below. I would love to talk to you about it, hear your thoughts. If you want to know more, feel free to email me at AskJackieG@gmail.com. I have another book coming out hopefully soon called Finding Home, so stay on the lookout for that. But as far as Be Free goes, this is it. This was my journey. It was messy, it was imperfect, but that's the realest kind of thing you can do. I love you guys. I will see you next time.